Hello, everyone. My name is Sahara Rose De Vore. I am a wellness travel coach and consultant, and today I'm going to be talking about the future of wellness travel and transformative experiences, especially when it comes to business travel. So let's get started. To begin, a little bit about me. Like I mentioned, I am a wellness travel coach and consultant. I am also a transformational coach, and I spent over 10 years traveling the globe to over 84 countries solo, learning about the healing benefits of travel. I am passionate most about educating travelers and business travelers, both in the corporate world and in personal lives, to use travel as a key element into their mental and physical wellness toolkit. So that is what I'm going to dive a little deeper here into this presentation for you. What's the purpose of this presentation to begin with? I want to get your wheels turning on what to think about the future of tourism and hospitality when it comes to experiences and well-being. I want to inspire you to come out as a leader in the forefront of hospitality and tourism and think long-term alongside your short-term. I want to bring something different to the table than what you're already probably tired of hearing about. And I want to get you to think outside of the box from all of those legacy concepts when it comes to wellness travel or business traveler well-being. I want to get you to think about how are you going to attract and retain valuable talent in this new day and age? How are you going to attract repeats and new visitors if you're a destination or a hotel? What is it that's going to entice people to get back on the road traveling again, especially for business travelers? What do business travelers, employees, and remote workers need to succeed in the future? What will keep travelers satisfied? And what is it that we truly miss about travel? What I'm not here to talk about today is everything centered around the health and regulations of COVID. All of that information, there are tons of websites out there to seek that on CDC and others. If you have need any recommendations or help, please don't hesitate to reach out and I will send you some links for those. So why does this even matter? Pre-COVID, there was already a booming burnout epidemic for business travelers. People in their personal lives were already with high stress levels, anxiety levels, a lot going on. And then COVID hit, which according to reports have increased things like stress and anxiety, suicide rates in teens, upped the divorce rates, and more. But despite all that, the ugliness in the world, from 2020, there were a lot of shining lights that COVID did for us as human beings and for the industries, for the corporations, especially the travel industry. And what I mean by that is it has catapulted topics like well-being and self-care to the forefront across all industries, in particular the business travel industries. Well-being is essential to any and every well-managed travel program and should be a core element of every travel policy, including your duty of care policy. Position your company to capitalize on the emergence of new trends, says Decius Valmorbida, the president of travel at Amadeus. As we navigate a post-pandemic world and adapt to new demands and new desires, lifestyle hospitality brands must continue to push boundaries, challenge expectations, and tell new stories, says Sharon Pashrika, the CEO of Ennismore Hospitality Design. There needs to be a shift in company culture and corporate responsibility in regards to the traveler well-being. When you're brought on into a position as a business traveler, you're trained on that role, on your goal for that role, but you're not trained on how to be a traveler, how to be an effective traveler that is actually going to utilize the trip to help gain the value and goals that is set for that intended trip. travel isn't for everyone. Not everyone's a travel expert. And as we know that business travel, constant business travel can take a huge toll on our mental, physical, and overall well-being. So how can we reverse this and use travel as a tool to help business travelers thrive? Every time your employees travel for work, they're willingly putting their health on the line, as well as disrupting their lives for the betterment of your business. So how can we acknowledge them as human beings and provide transformative experiences that help both the company and the individual? The power of travel. 84% of American Express customers say that travel is a top activity that they miss right now. COVID allowed the world to take a look within and us as human beings to raise awareness of our own well-being. And that is a huge topic being thrown around right now. And like I mentioned, pre-COVID, there was a booming traveler epidemic among road warriors. 87% of travelers feel like the quality of their business travel impacts their business results. So why not try to improve that for them? 46% of business travelers say that their company doesn't consider their personal lives when asking them to travel. 84% say that young business travelers say that they cherish their alone time on their business trips. So why not help them figure out what else can they do to utilize a destination or the experience that's going to enhance their well-being, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. 73% report that they have a better experience when they spend downtime on their own during their business trip. So why not provide the proper resources and education on how to best utilize that time and experience during your trip so that they can get that boost and those benefits that travel is proven to provide. A little personal story here. When the reason that I went from a world traveler, a backpacker to over 84 countries solo to specialize in wellness travel, especially for the corporate world and business travel. When I was just a backpacker and I was traveling from Thailand to India, we were on a long flight and I was sitting beside a business traveler. Sat a man in a suit. He was asking me my life journey and why I was going to India. I had no explanation other than I was just an aimless backpacker desiring to see the world. And here sat this man who had a great role, a great title in his company, a salary that was very desirable. He had everything on paper, a family, a home. He made great money and he traveled for business. Who doesn't want that life? But he opened up to me and expressed how unhappy he was with his lifestyle and how envious he was of mine. He wished that he was able to see more places, more experiences of the destinations that he was traveling to. He did outside of just the hotel room and meeting rooms. And fast forward 10 years when I got into the business travel industry as a wellness coach, I tapped into that story and remembered that travel, there's more to travel. It doesn't have to be that way. When I saw the booming epidemic of burnout among business travelers and the studies and statistics centered around that pre-COVID, I found it fascinating that the true benefits of travel was not being tapped into and utilized for the betterment of business travel and travelers overall. So I will share some of that information with you and statistics in this presentation. I want you to think about when it comes to wellness tourism, I want you to think of the other way around. Instead of your travel wellness program, I want you to think of it as a wellness travel program, emphasizing on the wellness instead of just the travel, because travel can provide that wellness for you. It's a change in the mindset. Can the business travel industry really afford to go back to how it was? Topics like personalized experience and well-being were being tossed around pre-COVID quite a bit, but nothing was truly being done outside of diet, sleep, and exercise. So in the next couple slides, I'm going to go over with you what wellness looked like in the industry pre-2020, today, and what it might look like in the future. This represents pre-COVID. When it came to business travel, well-being, everything was centered around diet, sleep, and exercise, how comfy hotel beds were, how many hours, if it was 24 hours, if the hotel had a gym. Maybe we're provided with mindset or yoga instructors. There was lots of jet lag apps, or healthy meal options on the menu. But there's more to wellness than this, especially when it's centered around travel. Also, this is inspired by a BCD Traveler Wellness Survey from 2018. On the left side here, the traveler needs that were being addressed. And when it came to personalized experiences traveler needs, this is what was considered. Whether they had Wi-Fi, lounge access, high quality hotel options, flight flexibility, choice of hotel locations, flight arrival, departure times, and room upgrades. Over on the right-hand side, got a little bit better over time, where we can see that there was psychological support for their mental health, tracking traveler health with metrics. After a long trip, were they provided with time off? Were they provided with the ability to work from home after a long trip? What kind of recovery advice was provided? And then these last two ones were ones that I had the most interest in, which is allowing family and partners to accompany, as well as extending work for leisure. So those are tapping into that personal needs. What is it that they as a human being need so that they can thrive in their work performance? But today, travel wellness is all centered around COVID. Again, this is not what I'm going to be talking about in this presentation, but as you can see here, with sanitation, the health regulations, border regulations, everything centered around COVID is the main focus of wellness when it comes to business travel. But I want to get your minds going on what to think about for the future. How can you come out and provide something innovative, creative, necessary, and desirable for the future of the well-being of the traveler? Travel has more purpose to it. We are all, when we travel, we have changing personas, especially as business travelers. We're always traveling with different intent and purpose for a trip. So with these ever-changing personas, we expect something different and want something different out of every experience. The changing of personas are concepts that are backed by two industry leaders, Barbara Rose with Ernst & Young America's travel manager, and she talks about the outcomes of trips based on their persona, as well as Amadeus said in their report. They understand why they're traveling and provide them with the right offer and experiences when you can understand that traveler's persona. What is it that they need or intended goals for that experience? You need to dive deeper into why someone is traveling. What is the intent for this trip? What is the value of travel for them? What more can they get out of this experience? How can they make better decisions? We need to look at our past for our answers of wellness and connect the dots of the mind, body, and spirit, because the elements that we need have been there all along. This is said by Dr. Richard Carmona, the 17th US Surgeon General. He said in a webinar for the Global Wellness Summit. Then he went on to give a few examples, which include physical activity, local healthy food, and human connection. These are all elements that I deeply believe in when it comes to the integration of wellness in travel. So let's talk about the future of travel and wellness. Let's redefine a personalized experience. A personalized experience, especially around business travel, is more than a preferred hotel line or loyalty points or food options or favorite menus, restaurant choices. In travel overall, a personalized experience is more than someone's favorite destination or favorite cuisine, so they can have a booking at a restaurant. There's more to personalization than this. It's really understanding the person as a human being. What are their needs, wants, goals, struggles, obstacles, problems? We all have them. So let's tap into them so that we can have the best experiences that are going to help us in our personal life as well as in our work life. Travel consultants now need to act as a personal travel assistant who are partially data scientists, partially lifestyle gurus, and who move away from providing information to offering personalized guidance, said Amadeus in their report. It's more of the emotional human connection aspect. That's something we are all craving after 2020. This is something that business travelers needed pre-COVID anyways. That human connection, that understanding that they are a human being with their own personal life, struggles, goals, and obstacles. So these are a few quotes from Bonnie Smith, the GM at FCM Travel Solutions for South Africa. And she talked a lot about empathy, communication, more of a therapist, having someone to lean on, having that coaching aspect. How can someone be coached essentially throughout an experience, pre, during, and after an experience, so they can have the most out of it? They can have a well-rounded traveler journey, and that's going to benefit the company overall. I'll dive into why that is soon. There are fundamental shifts in the future of wellness travel as well, and business travel. Got to think of life outside of the workplace. Everyone has one. So how can that be integrated? We saw concepts like bleisure being thrown around pre-COVID in the business travel industry. As we saw those statistics in the burnout slide, that travelers were saying that they were not being asked about their personal lives when being asked to travel for business. A lot of them wanted to spend time alone or make the most out of their travel experience that's going to focus on themselves and self-healing. So how can this be integrated into the future of travel as well? So some of the fundamental shifts being made are intentional travel. What is the ultimate goal of this trip? When it comes to business travel, is it to build a relationship, make a sale? Is it to spark innovation, get creative ideas? When you can identify what the ultimate goal for a trip is, then you know what to do and how to go about that experience. If it's just for leisure, is it to work on yourself, self-reflect, self-discovery, meet new people? Is it to just literally de-stress and disconnect from your workload? Is it to work on a bond with your partner, your spouse, your children, your friends? What is it that you're trying to get out of this experience? More connection in the workplace, more connection between different departments. That includes communication. Whose role and responsibility is it for the traveler well-being in the corporate world? Is it HR? Is it travel managers to bring a new wellness leader on? Is it a combination of everyone? So more connection, collaboration, and then more connection on a human level for the traveler as well. That's something we all need. It's something that's taken a toll. A lack of connection has taken a toll on our mental well-being. So how can we connect more? Because we obviously know that that's going to help us build more relationships and hopefully make more sales or grow our business in the long run. Behavioral changes. Why travelers are changing is why travelers are getting on a plane, getting in a car, taking a trip in the first place is changing, or the purpose is actually being talked about nowadays versus when it wasn't before. Before it was just we travel for business, just have this set goal for this meeting or whatever intent that there was. As for leisure, it was to just relax on a beach and sip a pina colada. As we know, there's underlying reasons for why people are truly traveling. There's a whole reason why people travel for business in the first place. Travelers are rapidly shifting their attitudes towards where, when, and why they travel, said Trip Actions and in their Skiffs Trends report. There's also a mindset change. The industry's recovery has to be based on this kind of paradigm shift. You have to think differently, think outside the box. And that is why I intended for this presentation to get you thinking outside the box. We know that right now is focused on COVID and everything centered around the health sanitation, but we are mistakenly mixing together, confusing health and wellness. Wellness is about the human as a whole. This is about the human being. So how can we tailor our experiences that are going to improve that specific human being and their wants and their needs? As Judy Payne, the director of meetings and travel at GameStop, says, we need a more human-focused and personalized approach. As the last one here, engagement, heightened engagement, getting people in the workplace to work together, growing company culture, all of these fundamentals are going to better the human beings, the well-being, as well as the overall company success and goals. Travel triggers. This is inspired. This information here is from the Health Tourism Worldwide organization in a report that was sent out at the beginning of 2021. The travel triggers, which are things that I like to call motivating factors for why people travel. Here's some listed from the Health Tourism Worldwide website or report. Things like relaxation, escapism, self-healing, de-stressing, rejuvenation, prevention, pampering, transcendence, fitness, and more. The other motivating factors for why people are traveling are for that human connection, to meet new people. Those are two elements essential to business travel. That's why we get on the road and meet face to face. We travel to heal internally, to connect with our loved ones, to heal from a traumatic life event, AKA 2020. There's a reason why so many people are already on the road and desiring to travel, as that American Express statistics show. That is the top thing, that activity people are thinking about. Travel is healing. That's why travel is a vessel for us to heal, to feel, to deal, and to do business. So how is travel transformative and why? The value that travel has on our personal and work life is immense. When we think about it, like I mentioned, we travel for such personal reasons. Travel has been incorporated into our lives at whether it's a celebration, whether it's a way for us to heal, whether it's a way for us to connect, it's a way for us to get inspired, it's a way for us to grow our business and grow our network. The transformation of travel, it's a concept you're hearing quite a bit nowadays, especially after 2020, is because the value of travel is finally being realized. It's being verbalized to attract people, to get people enticed to get back on the road and travel again, because it's always a concept that we've had in us. Travel is innate in us as human beings. We've always traveled for a variety of reasons. But now we see the true value because it was taken away from us for a whole year. So now tapping into how can we optimize on these transformative experiences for our betterment in our well-being and our business. Psychology Today says that well-being is the experience of health, happiness, and prosperity. It includes good mental health, high life satisfaction, and a sense of meaning and purpose. Well-being is feeling well. Wellness travel was built upon the spa industry, but there's so much more to wellness travel than spas and massages. Just like for business travel well-being, there's more than diet, sleep, and exercise. Travel is all about you as an individual, says the CEO of VKU, Miguel Montalvo. And adapting an always-on lifestyle, ignoring these natural rhythms of work and the natural rhythms of work and rest comes to no cost, both as an individual's well-being and productivity and for a company's bottom line. And this is said by Huffington Post Caroline Gregory. She goes on to say, but when we do take the time to unplug, the results can be nothing short of transformative. So how can we integrate this concept into business travel? How can time in between meetings, before meetings, after work is done, be utilized best for that individual, that traveler? What can be done? How can we tap into the power of nature? What does that person need as an individual? Do they need time alone? Do they need more human connection? Do they need self-reflecting? Is it time spent in nature? Is it to be breathing the fresh, salty sea air? There's so many different options, but it's up to the individual to tap into what it is that they need as a human being. Wellness needs to change its image and to lean into science and data, says Beth McGroarty, the research director at the Global Wellness Institute. So now we're going to tap into these wellness benefits that I keep talking about when it comes to travel. We'll start here with mental well-being. As we can see, here are a few statistics from the World Health Organization of business travel and stress and what it did on the workplace pre-COVID. All of that productivity loss, all of that stress-related illness expense, and the absenteeism. But according to decades of reports, travel can actually improve our brain health and decrease stress. Psychologists and neuroscientists have been studying and finding that travel has the potential to affect mental change, says theatlantic.com. Studies show a connection between travel and creativity, a deeper sense of cultural awareness, and personal growth. When it comes to decreasing stress, resilience, cultivating gratitude, generosity, being able to give back during an experience, maybe that looks like a volunteer opportunity, breathing techniques like meditation in nature, slow-paced activities like hiking outdoors are all things that are believed to lower stress, and these are all things that travel can provide for us. A study by the Wisconsin Rural Women's Health Study says that women who go on a vacation at least 2 times a year are less prone to chronic stress and depression, as opposed to women who go on a vacation less than once every 2 years. I know I'm talking about leisure and vacation here, but the concept of this, the underlying fundamentals of the power of travel, can be implemented across the corporate world and business travel as well. As for brain health, recent studies show that the beach is one of the best places to alleviate stress and heal your brain, says Inc.com. Encountering novel stimuli, so everything that we experience during a travel experience, navigation, new languages, problem solving, all of this mental stimuli keeps your mind young and improves your memory and concentration, says the Global Coalition of Aging. And cognition is the ignition of productivity and innovation. The chairman of Target Depression on the Workplace, Bill Wickerson, says. So if we can tap into how travel can help stimulate our brain, which can ultimately ignite and improve our brain health, can increase our creativity levels, innovation levels, make us more productive, and our work increase our work performance. Travel can also break up our daily routine, and things like learning, exploring, thinking, and problem solving, all things that can help us stimulate this brain health. Travel is good medicine. Therapeutic landscapes like forests, mountains, and calming seasides may help to decrease the risk of psychosocial stress-related diseases, says the U.S. National Library of Medicine. And I love this quote here by Dr. Paul Nussbaum. Travel is good medicine because it challenges the brain with new and different experiences and environments. It is an important behavior that promotes brain health and builds brain resilience across the lifespan. So if we can just change the mindset and the approach when it comes to how and why people travel, especially for business, and tap into some of this knowledge and proof of travel, we can see different results and outcomes with lower burnout rates, higher productivity, less turnover rates, and I'll dive into that in a minute here. The Global Wellness Institute, in their Great Travel Reset report, explains how this long year has thrown firewood on the blaze already ignited by forced bathing and the movement by some medical doctors to prescribe time in the woods to patients seeking stress and anxiety relief. This is a concept that is gaining, I'm hearing more and more about, which is medical professionals prescribing being in nature, travel experiences to help alleviate stress, anxiety, and mental health issues. Another personal story, the reason why I started my journey of traveling is because I had always struggled with an anxiety disorder ever since I was really young. So when I graduated hospitality from my hospitality and tourism program in university in 2010, I was very unhappy with the lack of career options in the travel industry. I wanted to explore more of the world on my own terms and figure out my life purpose and passions. So that is why I turned to travel. It taught me a lot about my mental health, my strengths, my weaknesses, and led me into this career of education on the wellness benefits of travel and experiences. So the power of being in nature. I'm not sure if you've heard of this concept before, but blue spaces. There have been several recent articles published on this topic here, but this is always something that I have believed so deeply in that helped me with my own mental health. Spending time near bodies of water. Blue spaces, it just means spending time near bodies of water, including lakes, oceans, ponds, and healing benefits that it has. Visiting blue spaces is important to people who are seeking to unwind. We know that this simply from analyzing people's habits in terms of where they tend to visit and what they tend to value, says Briere, this is from the Blue Health and report in the Washington Post. For example, we know that people spend more money on hotel rooms with seaside views. So how can we integrate this into what that individual traveler needs for their own experience? Does that mean spending more time near a body of water or having a hotel room with an ocean view? The Blue Health Report project also found that short but regular time spent in blue spaces, even as low as a daily 20-minute walk along the seafront, help cumulatively boost long-term well-being. So maybe in between meetings or integrated into meetings, time spent outdoors or a walk in nature or a short hike, or time spent near a local pond or body of water, maybe journaling session, meditation session, using any of those apps that are downloadable nowadays can possibly help that business traveler themselves. As for green spaces, this is the opposite of blue spaces, but spending time near fields, gardens, out in nature, and trees. More than 40% of people say that nature, wildlife, and visiting local green spaces have been even more important for their well-being since COVID restrictions began, to the BBC report. General practitioners in parts of England have even been prescribing experiences in nature for patients with anxiety and depression. Some of the recommendations were taking a healthy walk outside or even gardening. The wellness traveler wants areas of education and wants to feel like they understand the destinations that they're going to and to feel in touch with it, says the chairman of Wellness Tourism Association, Andrew Gibson. So how can we allow the traveler to optimize on the destination location and spend time in nature or figure out what it is that they need out of this experience to help with their mental well-being, overall well-being, physical well-being, and ultimately their work performance. Physical well-being. Moving on, Contrary to popular belief, travel can actually help boost our immune system. Travel exposes you to different environments, which creates strong antibodies and boosts your immune system significantly, says a report in Matador Network. Salty sea air can also help reduce inflammation. Salty sea water, can reduce inflammation. So maybe the traveler struggles with arthritis, stiff joints, maybe there's a lot of stress on their shoulders. So spending time in bodies of water or hot springs or lagoons, somewhere where they are able to help de-stress in between meetings or sometime during their work experience. As for heart health, there's studies by the Framingham Heart Study that showed that travel can decrease your risk of heart disease from less stress and being less anxious. Men and women who traveled annually are less likely to suffer a heart attack or to develop heart disease. Travel, of course, can keep you fit. Obesity, the increase of obesity in business travel was a part of this burnout epidemic pre-COVID in the business travel industry. Unhealthy diets, turning to increased alcohol, substance abuse, all of these statistics that show that how the health was jeopardized of constant business travelers before. So how can we flip the script and actually tap into these powers that travel can do for us by getting us outdoors, getting us out from behind our desk, away from our computers, walking, active, maybe it's a group program, maybe the hotel offers some sort of walking or hiking program, which many are already doing. So how can we keep active and fit while traveling? Traveling can actually help us age a little bit better. It can spark our vitality, keep our spirits up. A Mayo Clinic study showed that lowering stress can lower your hormone cortisol, which is known to speed up the aging process. So if we can lower those stress levels, we can help age a little bit more gracefully. The healing properties of nature. In the wellness, the World Health Tourism Organization, worldwide organization, also did a report on the natural resources of travel, what people were looking for when it comes to the future of travel. And a lot of those studies showed that they were looking for natural resources. How can they spend time in nature that was healing? So things like natural saunas, hot springs, thermals, and just being outdoors in nature. And again, that's the Health Tourism Worldwide Organization. The Western medicine experiences that people usually can't afford. So if we're going to places like in Southeast Asia or South America, there's more access to therapeutic experiences that we maybe can't afford or don't have time to do while we are home. So things like massages, facials and spa experiences, yoga sessions, maybe in Bali or India, meditation sessions in temples, really optimizing and diving deeper into the culture and the location of a destination. Also sipping on things like herbal teas, maybe from China or other destinations that have healing benefits, things that we don't always have access into from our hometown. Spending time outdoors in the sunshine can also improve our bone health by getting that dose of vitamin D. And also, studies have showed that traveling can help improve respiration by spending time breathing in the salty sea breeze. In the 18th and 19th centuries, it's also believed that science now show that breathing in fresh beach air and surfing has healing powers like thinning the mucus, lining of mucus, and easing sinus pressure, reduced coughing, and improving lung health. And this is from the Wall Street Journal. Alongside mental and physical well-being, travel can also boost our emotional and spiritual well-being as well. It can help build emotional preparedness to be receptive of others while deepening compassion and empathy. This is something that in company culture, it is dire, especially in the times that we are in now, when we are in desperate need of acceptance of others, of inclusion, diversity in the workplace. So the more that we can travel, the more knowledge, experience, and exposure we can get to new ways of life, different backgrounds, people who are just think differently than you, look differently from you. You can learn different traditions and cultures and take this back with you in the workplace to enhance the overall company culture, to spark happiness and connectivity, and to just boost an overall morale for the company culture. If company culture is something that your company values most, so I would really recommend taking a look at your travel policies, your business travel policies, and see where travel lies in there and how you rank the value of that, because that is something that travel can definitely provide for all of us, better understanding and acceptance of others. And it can also, we are all seeking that empathy and compassion, just like Bonnie Smith was saying in the previous quote that I showed you all, that we're seeking that human connection. People want to be acknowledged. They want you to feel what they feel. They want you to understand why they're feeling what they're feeling. And this is important across all aspects of the tourism and hospitality industries, whether you work in a hotel. It's just really understanding the traveler's journey and what they're going through. So travel can help us exercise those skills of emotion and compassion and empathy. Alongside emotional and spiritual well-being is also social well-being. This is something we all crave, right? A person's social ties and quality of social relationships can mediate the effects of stress on health, says Ruth L. Kirkstein, the former director of National Institutes of Health. Human connection, social interaction are things that we were lacking in 2020, other than being virtual here online. But as we all know, that's different. We can talk to our family and friends and business partners and teammates virtually for X amount of time before we are just it's necessary for us to see in person and connect in person. That is something that travel can provide for us too. Alongside the health benefits of travel is also proven to improve work performance by things like increased productivity, building relationships, sparking creativity, innovation, and team building. As for relationships, it's not all just, of course, business relationships, it's also personal relationships. Something that a lot of business travelers were struggling with pre-COVID, always being on the road, was taking a toll on their family life, their relationships, their marriages, their relationships with their partners. According to the U.S. Travel Association, 84% of couples who travel together report that they're more likely to communicate well with their partners than those who do not travel together. So if we can tap back into that concept of leisure or incorporating your partner, your spouse, your family in some aspect of your business trip, can potentially help improve those relationships. Or teaching people how to take a piece of that experience home with them, whether through storytelling or through actual cultural experiences that they could share with their family and loved ones. Sparking creativity and innovation. New experiences increase cognitive flexibility, keeps your mind sharp, says Matador Network. Scientists say that travel makes you more creative by breaking up the creative stagnation and gets your creative juices flowing. Things like deep learning, new ideas, and discovery. These are all concepts that Eric Bailey from Microsoft was recently talking about in a podcast about the future of their travel program. So how can they tap into optimizing on these experiences, these shared group experiences, bonding, trust building, team building, learning new skills, everything that travel is proven to be able to provide us with. Deloitte Consulting CEO Jim Moffat says that you'll be amazed at what you can do when you're unplugged and what your people have accomplished when you plug back in. I can personally attest to this, he says. You'll be more confident and a better leader because of it. So how can we tap into those small windows of time on a business trip to unplug, to reset ourselves, whether that's a meeting experience, a business trip, any aspect, maybe a little thing like spending time in nature, or having a cultural experience, and then getting that recharge, getting those creative juices flowing and taking back to your work life. Alongside transformative travel, you've probably heard the term intentional travel as well. With the potential that there will be less business trips in the future, therefore more value needs to be put on the intent for each trip. So how can we make the most out of every business trip that's going to happen in the future? You don't need to go to the most expensive destination or a wellness retreat. You can actually partake yourself, says Andrew Gibson, the chairman of the Wellness Tourism Association. So how can you take advantage of every trip, every experience, every location, destination that you have? And like Andrew Gibson says, you don't need the most expensive destination or a whole wellness retreat to be able to optimize on the wellness benefits of travel. These small little pieces, but it really starts with you tuning into yourself, the business traveler, understanding what it is that he or she needs to be able to have the best experience that's going to focus on their well-being, as well as ultimately leading them to their work goals. Transformative travel, intentional travel, and you hear purposeful travel as well, right? So what does purposeful travel even mean for your company? What does purposeful travel mean? What is intentional of the business trip, including the personal well-being of the traveler? How can they get more out of this experience? Ben Park, the Senior Director of Procurement and Travel at Parexel, says that I believe that purposeful travel will be a key metric moving forward. And here, Felicity Long with Travel Weekly says that purposeful travel, another new term referring to a desire on the part of travelers for authentic experiences abroad, is another predicted trend. The radical upheavals in our lifestyles brought on by the pandemic and the introspection that ensued for many of us are expected to strengthen this trend, which had already been gaining traction in the past few years. Everything that I mentioned, these are concepts that were already toyed with, thought about, done, but wasn't brought to the forefront until now. 2020 gave us all that time to really understand and recognize the value that travel has on our personal and our work lives. So how can we, moving forward, have more intent with these experiences? So I want to give you some examples here. So I talk about the mental, physical, and overall wellness benefits of travel. I talked about how travel can improve our work performance, creativity, and innovation levels. So if you are in the business travel, how can hotels, how can remote work actually get some ideas and implement some of these? So first off, from Eric Bailey with Microsoft, gave some examples in his presentation, in his podcast that he was on as well. He talked about things like encouraging connections, taking museums and tours, morning jogs, or historical walks. As for leisure travel and incorporating into business travel, how can you incorporate your family and friends, like I mentioned, to improve those relationships, spending an extra day maybe, or flying out a different day, and optimizing on time in between meetings. I once encountered a business traveler who said that he had a lot of time in between his meetings, and he just spent it in his hotel room because he didn't know what else to do. So if the proper resources, guidance, and education is there on how they can optimize depending on the location, depending on what it is that they need, they can fulfill that time and make the most out of it. That's going to ultimately benefit their well-being versus being isolated back into the hotel room. As for hotels, there are many hotels already doing a lot of great things moving forward for transformative and purposeful travel, being things like being in nature. So as business travelers, travel managers, TMCs, to take a look at what are the partner hotels that you're with doing, what kind of offers do they have for your business travelers. So for instance, here's just some examples that what hotels are doing. There's mind and body programs, emotional wellness retreats, early morning excursions, break excursions. So maybe there's a meeting going on and there's a break. How can they make the most out of that? Corporate wellness retreats, hiking programs, outdoor programs, escapism wellness programs, and even Airbnb launched their World Boot Camp for immersive experiences. So how can you get people into local experiences, and how can locals optimize on their destination? Also, what are some hotels already offering? So take a look at, if you are a hotel, take a look at what your competition is doing. Talk to your guests, see what they are looking for, what they desire and want. What are you already offering? What are you not offering? Maybe you just need to make some tweaks in there, or maybe there is something you can create brand new. And are you taking full advantage of your location and destination? Are there natural resources you haven't tapped into that no one knows about? Have you not educated people on the benefits of them, and more? As for remote work, this is a concept that is not going to go away. This was already gaining traction pre-COVID. People looking to be remote workers, whether they work for a company or they wanted the freedom-based lifestyle, so they created a business themselves. 2020 gave a lot of people the opportunity to rethink their purpose and passion in life, and whether they were happy for the company they worked for or the position they had. And so either people took it upon themselves to finally start their own business, or now they're enjoying the sense of working from home. So once borders are open and travel is okay again, and companies, if a company allows it, can travelers work from other destinations? And can employees work from other destinations? And if so, how can you help them thrive in that environment? Like I mentioned before, not everyone's an avid traveler, so changing environments and new destinations can be overwhelming, intimidating, and can ultimately take a toll on mental and physical overall well-being. So if you do have remote workers, and also for your business travelers, how can you help tap into their personal needs and the benefits of travel to help them thrive in their personal and their work life? So lastly here, the last step here is for you to take action. Travel managers should work more closely with HR and other departments, figure out who's on board, whose responsibility, like I said, is it of the well-being of the traveler. Some companies have a new wellness leader in place. Some are joining forces with departments. TMC supports customer service, your corporate security teams, talk to your risk management teams. Risk management, duty of care should definitely be incorporating a deeper sense of well-being outside of the health and safety regulations centered around COVID, and also outside of just physical safety when it comes to well-being of travelers. Do you have a committee in place? Is there a wellness committee? Is there someone in charge of these decisions? If not, I would highly suggest finding one or integrating one. And also go over your policy, your business travel policy, your risk management policy, your wellness program, whatever, a wellness initiative, whatever you have in place. It could be a wellness platform. And maybe you have to bring in wellness consultants or travel coaches of some sort. As Festive Road said, focus on travel as an investment versus a cost to understand the why. And also consider the estimated cost of productivity loss due to the satisfaction of wellness of the traveler. So how can you weigh the value, the importance of this? So where does the value of traveler well-being, what does that even mean? Where does that lie for your company versus the possible effects of not integrating and taking seriously the well-being of the traveler? Things like attrition rates, lower productivity, higher turnover rates, higher medical costs of the companies. There's lots of statistics out there on all of this. And I would highly recommend taking a look at what you do offer and integrating some of the stuff in this presentation today into your program. And lastly, Emlyn Brown, the Global VP of Wellbeing of Core, says, COVID will accelerate demand and well-being through a change in hospitality for a more wellness and well-being focused approach from a guest and a service point of view. 2020 is the time to address, change, and prepare for that and the strong rebound to come, because travel rebound is going to be coming stronger than ever. The business travel industry will be coming back with a vengeance over time as we seek the value of human connection and travel for our well-being. So how can your company best prepare for the future and come out as leaders when it comes to business traveler well-being and overall company success? Thank you everyone so much. My name is Sahara Rose De Vore. I am the wellness travel coaching consultant for Sahara Rose Travels LLC, and I am happy to connect with any of you, answer any questions. Please email me at sahararose.travels@gmail.com or simply visit www.sahararosetravels.com or find me on LinkedIn, and I am happy to answer any questions for you. Take care, everyone, and talk soon.